John Parker, hope you're having a great Tuesday afternoon. Welcome into the game in T-Town.
What's going on, my man? How are you doing?
I'm good. Just we're spending a little time with Arkansas State, but we've really begun to kind of shift our attention towards the Rebels, Land Sharks in Oxford.
Yeah, the Land Sharks, I think it's Tony the Land Shark's official name, isn't it?
I think you're dead on. I'm still learning about it because what's so confusing is like we get these game notes from Ole Miss, not from Alabama, but it still says Rebels. But then I'm kind of confused. I'm really having an identity problem with their mascot.
Does it really? Because I've been to the game notes and that's where I got the Tony the Land Shark.
I think you're right. I think it is Tony the Land Shark. But then like I'm reading. Marquise can even verify it. It says literally on their note package that they published from their SID office. Matter of fact, the guy that wrote this is an Alabama guy because he may be aggravating him. But it says Ole Miss Rebels. So I'm really having issues with their mascot. But pretty good football team over at Oxford, though.
It's confusing, and then now they got the NWO, right? I grew up a little bit of a wrestling fan, which now they're talking about the new whiteout. What they've got going on, and I tell you what, we've got some good whiteouts, and I think the deepest whiteouts that we've had in quite some time with Devontae, with Jerry Jeudy, with Henry Ruggs, with Jalen Waddle. I think Irv Smith is like a fifth whiteout, but they've got some pretty good guys themselves. A couple All-Americans, freshman All-American. I think it's going to be the third real test in a row for our defense going against these prolific offenses. And, you'd like to see this a little later in the season. Louisville had good receivers. Arkansas State probably had a better passing game than Louisville, and now we've got to face Ole Miss, who, hung up 76 points last week.
Yeah, I want to spend some time looking at maybe just some early thoughts about Ole Miss, but let me go back to Arkansas State. Maybe your biggest takeaway is you're leaving that broadcasting booth and you're walking to your car, your forerunner from Tuscaloosa. Toga, how'd you like the way I worked in that promo?
Pretty good.
As you're walking back to your forerunner, what was your kind of takeaway from the Arkansas State game?
Just thinking back when I was a player there and what it's like playing those games, and especially being the second game of the year. And if you go back and training camp is 5 weeks of just grueling, fighting every day, grinding out there in the Tuscaloosa heat, sore. I mean, you're basically sore from the beginning of July till the end of January, but that's when it really sets in. You go out, you play the opener in a neutral site against a big ACC school, so you're jacked up for that. And then you get back to campus, early Sunday morning. You got an easy day Sunday, and now you got to get back to work on Monday. And then before you get to work, you got to go to class, and you've got to go through this whole now new process, especially for the young guys, of getting ready to play another game and the start of just the gauntlet of the SEC. So they get back from Louisville, and I think the thing that I walked away with, and I say all that to say, I think the leadership showed up a lot on Saturday, because we got athletes, but you can't show up and just win a game like that, and pretty decisively against a team that Coach Saban called a prolific offense. And he's not, I promise you, he's not just giving away these recognitions to anybody. They were really good. Their quarterback takes care of the ball. They throw the ball quickly. They did a lot of different schemes on offense, a lot of different multiple formations and shifts and motions. And for the guys, I think to show up like they did speaks a lot about, obviously the coaching staff, but some of these leaders on the team, a guy like Damian Harris, Deontay Thompson's been talked about a few times, Raekwon Davis, of just getting everybody ready to play and showing up on Saturday and just from start to finish dominating.
Is there an area of Alabama's team that you're still kind of want to see them take that next step? Some areas that you would like to see them improve as you look at Alabama? Only 2 games in, and that's a small sample size. But from your perspective, where would you like to see Alabama take that next step?
I think, can I say the kicking game? I think I think making a change like that when Bulovas went in after missing 2 extra points and Chris Stewart and I went back on our Crimson Tide rerun show yesterday and talked about we've had some struggles in the kicking game, but extra points are especially in college where they're from the with the 2 or 3 yard line. In the pros, it's different now. They've backed them up. In college, that extra point's got to be non-negotiable. That's got to go through every time. You start really messing with schemes when you go 6. Now it's 12 points. Do you go for 2? In the tight game, we know how big. We saw Clemson and Texas A&M, what happened to them at the end. So I think we've got to improve there. I liked what Bulovas did coming in with the pressure of just handling kickoffs and then coming in when, I don't know if you were at the game or you could hear it on the radio, but the boo bird started coming out. And everybody feels it when the kickers go out there. So it was good to see a step, and I'm sure that competition will continue to go on. But something, it'd be nice to rely on later in the season if it gets turned around.
We're talking to John Parker Wilson here, former quarterback at the University of Alabama. When we talk about stats, I'm going to share a couple of stats with you that Brad Edwards earlier, he's an Alabama grad. Matter of fact, he was a kicker, believe it or not, under Coach Stallings for just a brief amount of time. Then he found that sports information was going to be, and now he's been at ESPN for 25 years, does a lot of their research. Brad's a great guy and a friend of our program. He shared a stat with us earlier. Tua Tagovailoa is 6 for 6 on passes more than 15 yards. He's 10 for 10 on third downs. He's passed to 25. The different completions is 9 different receivers. He said he was looking at his spread chart earlier, and there's really no determined. He said if you're trying to build a scouting report, he said there's really no. It's all over. He said the spread chart is just everywhere. When you look at Tua Tagovailoa, he's beginning to pile up some really unique numbers that I know it's a small sample size, but 2 games in, we're looking at a pretty special football player.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, those are some pretty wild numbers, and to be able to throw it to that many guys, it just puts an unbelievable stress on the defense because now, you can't just say, okay, we're going to line up and take away the run or we're going to line up and take away the pass. You've got to be a more honest defense, and to be able to do that and just tell you what's impressive to me and just the accuracy that he has on those downfield passes. I mean, he's hitting them right underneath the face mask every throw. It's like, it's 5 yards away when, in fact, it's 45 yards on the field. So him just having that precision and almost surgical precision that he's got back there, it's pretty impressive. But I also think I really, really like what Coach Loxley's doing, the offensive coordinator, of calling different looks, getting the ball to different guys, adding these RPOs that we haven't seen a ton from Alabama, but adding them in, especially down the red zone, that's, putting the guys in good situations to win. And I think we always talked about as, the quarterback and the offensive coordinator, our job is to get the guys, to get the playmakers the ball. And Tua, Jalen's doing a good job, and Loxley's just doing a great job of finding the weaknesses in the defense and getting the playmakers the ball.
You feel like this rushing attack will get cranked up because we talk about on the road, if you can run the football, especially since a defense that's suspect, we talk about giving up a lot of yardage last week to Southern Illinois. You think this rushing attack will find its way as we progress through the season?
I do. And I think it's been a sneaky rushing attack. Najee had a big day, led the team in carries, and had 135 yards, I think, for the first real, blue-collar type performance from him. In the past he's been featured, had 6 or 7 carries here or there, but went out there, him and Damian took the bulk of the carries, which we kind of see the rotation that they're starting to go through. But we know, Alabama fans know how important in the SEC of being able to rush the ball is. And to be able to control the game, to control the clock, to be able to put yourself in good third down situations, you can only do that when you're successful running the ball. Because the worst thing to happen is throw it on first down, incomplete, then you try to get some back, and now you're looking at 3rd and 10. That's a low percentage play. So the run game is just – it's what, Coach Saban his whole career, it starts and ends with the run game. I think our offensive line's getting better. We've got some really good guys running the ball. So I think it's going to do nothing but pick up and continue to get those guys involved in the game plan.
John Parker Wilson, when we look at Ole Miss for just a couple of minutes, what do you see in their quarterback? And I know we don't get a chance to watch other football games outside of Alabama, but what do you see in Jordan and the way that he has performed so far? Texas Tech, the first one, and then Southern Illinois.
Well, I think he is spreading the ball around. He plays with poise. Extremely accurate passer. Also, they're second in the nation right now, first in the SEC, averaging 407 yards a game. And I don't care if you're throwing against air, being able to do that is pretty impressive. And they're gonna keep doing that. They're gonna keep riding him and those receivers, and they're gonna live by it and they're gonna die by it. I think this game's gonna be no different. And for him, just adds that true dual threat that, and I even think Coach Saban said it yesterday in his press conference, that almost better than Shea Patterson, where he can run it and he can definitely throw it. So it's going to be kind of like going against an Alabama offense. You're going to have to be honest. You're going to have to get really good rush from your guys up front to free up the linebackers in the secondary to drop into coverage, because it's going to take that all day on Saturday. So I think the key is going to be Isaiah Buggs, Raekwon Davis, Quinnen Williams, those guys getting pressure up front.
John Parker, this is probably the biggest curveball, but you played baseball. You can knock this out of the park, okay? Today we are celebrating Coach Bryant's birthday. He would have been 105, and history tells me that your mother was a cheerleader here at the University of Alabama. Matter of fact, one of those
Correct.
Championship seasons. What's the best Bryant story that she's ever shared with you? Because there's got to be one, right?
Oh, man, I don't know. It's going to be hard to think about, but for me, just like the memory and the thought of, and coming on like radio shows like yours, you a lot of times you hear those clips from him talking, and I just loved his voice of how, in the stadium, I remember, I don't even know if they still do it because I've got so much stuff going on game days now, but playing that voiceover of him and just how he demanded and controlled everything. Pretty crazy to think he could have been 105, and just how his legacy still remains intact at Alabama. It's always going to be there. And, fortunate for us, a lot of times schools are still looking for that first legacy coach, and now we've got two. Pretty fun to be a part of Alabama football right now.
Yeah, think about it. You got 6 national titles with Coach Bryant, 5 with Nick Saban, 6 total for him counting the LSU. And you think about 2 coaches in really just 25 years, and then the 12th year here, that just a short period of our long history, and you've got that many championships. I always tell the listeners we're playing with house money.
There's no doubt about it, and it's just so good for our state and for everything else to have a school and a program that's so respected like it is. Because we go out and win football games, but I think at the end of the day we also do it the right way. We've got good guys. We've got good players. We see everything else going around the country, and to be able to I think, just hold our head high like we do for such a good program, it's fun to be a part of, but also at the end of the day, it's just, sense of pride for a lot of people.
Let me throw it back to you, a proud supporter of Alabama athletics, Tuscaloosa, Toyota. Tell us more.
Yeah, and supporter of athletics, the school, I think the community, and everything that they do. Scott is they're in Tuscaloosa. They are Tuscaloosa. They're West Alabama. And just like the football program, they do things the right way. Their staff is unbelievable. Their sales department, we talk about it every week, of the one price, one place. There's no haggling or negotiating. They shoot their best shot first. You talked about the 0% financing. That's tough to come by. And they're basically giving you free money of saying, come buy the car. We can work with you over 4, 5, 6 years to get you in that car. They're going to give you a good price no matter what. And one of the things, their website's awesome. I'm sitting here looking at it on my phone right now. You see all the inventory. But also don't forget to sign up for their Facebook page, their Twitters. Scott, they give away a lot of free tickets, a lot of stuff, a lot of giveaways, a lot of cool events they've got going on at the dealership. So make sure you friend them and like them on Facebook, and check them out at tuscaloosa.youtube.com.
And as you said, you never know what they're going to drop as far as tickets. And I've watched it on a Friday say, hey, we got a 4-pack, and if you put a comment here, you get that 4-pack as far as the tickets available there. So like them on Facebook. They do a lot of autographed memorabilia as well. Connect with Tuscaloosa Toyota on the Twitter account, Tuscaloosa, Toyo on the Twitter account. John Parker Wilson, have a great broadcast this weekend. Certainly we'll be listening to you, and we'll be talking to you next Tuesday. Thank you, sir.
You got it, man. Roll Tide.